Welcome to the News Hour. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland resident whose deportation sparked scrutiny of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, was arrested again this morning during a meeting with Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Baltimore. Back in March, Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to his native El Salvador and held in the notorious Sicot prison for months. Under judge's orders, he was returned to the U.S. in June, then immediately jailed by federal officials on human smuggling charges. 3 days ago, he was released, again under judge's orders. And this morning, complying with the conditions of his release, he reported to an immigration check-in in Baltimore and was again arrested by ICE. Before his arrest, Abrego Garcia spoke to a crowd of supporters.
To
all the families who have suffered separations and who live constantly under the threat of being separated, I want to tell you, even though injustice is hitting us hard, we do not lose faith.
The administration now says he's being processed for deportation to Uganda, a country he has no connection to. But a federal judge in Maryland today ruled that the administration could not deport him without prior approval and must keep him in the U.S. Joining me now to discuss Abrego Garcia's case is his attorney, Simon Sandoval Moshenberg. Simon, thanks for joining us. What can you tell us about where your client is right now and how he and his family are doing?
Mr. Abrego Garcia was taken back into ICE custody at a ICE check-in, which the supposed purpose was an interview. That was clearly false because as soon as we got up there, they had the whole floor shut off, and within 1 minute they took him into custody. He's currently at a detention center in Virginia. The district judge ordered that he not be removed from that detention center in the meanwhile. So they're prohibited, at least for the moment, to sending him to one of the detention centers in Louisiana or South Texas or what have you.
It was reported earlier, Simon, that there was a plea deal put before your client, that if he pled guilty, he would serve his time and then be deported to Costa Rica. And if he wouldn't plead guilty, he might otherwise be deported to Uganda, which the administration now says it's working on. So can you confirm that offer was made? And did Abrego Garcia reject that deal?
So I don't represent him in his criminal matters. I'm his immigration counsel. But the notion that they're using the immigration system, and even more specifically, the decision of which country someone is going to be deported to sort of try to weaponize and gain leverage in a criminal prosecution is just flatly unconstitutional. It's very punitive. They say that their goal is to get him out of the country as quickly as possible. There's already an offer on the table from Costa Rica for refugee status in that country and a guarantee that Costa Rica will not deport him on to El Salvador. If they wanted to get him out of the country as quickly as possible, we could work that out tomorrow.
I want to ask you about that judge's ruling this afternoon that we just reported on. Do you believe that that ruling does deport him, or rather does protect him from deportation? Is he safe from being deported right now, in your view?
In the very short term, he's safe from being deported until we're going to have an in-person evidentiary hearing in front of the judge. But really, ultimately, what has to be decided is, can they send him to any country, whether it's Uganda, whether it's, Spain, if that country hasn't assured that he's going to be able to stay there, right? Because otherwise, it just becomes essentially a very inconvenient layover on a trip right back to El Salvador, which is the one country where it's illegal for them to send him.
You mentioned the criminal charges he's facing. I know you're not representing him in those, but I do want to get your response to this because he is facing those federal human trafficking charges. He's accused of transporting people within the U.S. who weren't here legally. I just want to put to you what the Attorney General Pam Bondi said about your client earlier today when she was asked about him in the Oval Office.
We've got him under control. He will no longer terrorize our country. He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison. He doesn't need to be on the streets like all these liberals want him to be.
Simon, at the heart of all of this is this issue of due process. Do you believe that he can get a fair trial? Will there be due process here?
Mr. Abrego Garcia has already had significant due process in front of, I think it's now 5 different judges and courts, from the initial 2019 immigration judge that granted him withholding of removal protection from removal to El Salvador, all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, and now 2 judges in Tennessee. And every single one of those, when they actually look at the evidence in the record, have completely disagreed with what Attorney General Bondi is saying, and has said there's no evidence in the record that he's this major gang leader, human trafficker, what have you.
Well, let me put to you as well why the administration continues to message on this. We heard from the Attorney General Pam Bondi there, but there's also allegations repeatedly made by people like the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who today put out the statement calling him explicitly in the headline of the message an MS-13 gang member, a wife beater, a child predator, a criminal illegal alien. We should note none of the charges he's facing are related to anything that she alleged there. But why do you believe that the government has become so focused on Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
Their message has been completely incoherent. Are they trying to prosecute him in the United States, or are they trying to get him out of the United States before his trial, which would frustrate the trial from even happening? Are they trying to deport him as quickly as possible, which can be done to Costa Rica this week? Or are they trying to deport him to a country that would be a punishment for him, like Uganda, which will be a huge knockdown, drag-out fight, a lengthy fight? Right. And so the reason for all of this is that when push comes to shove, they're far more concerned with, throwing their weight around and preserving what they think is their ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want. That's far more important to them than any particular outcome in this particular case.
Simon, in the 30 seconds or so I have left, can I just ask you, is it your view now that he will ultimately be deported? It's just a matter of to which country, or could his deportation be prevented?
I don't know how this process is all going to play out, but we are certainly going to we're certainly going to fight tooth and nail to prevent deportation to any country that has not given credible assurances that it won't re-deport him on to El Salvador, where he was already tortured earlier this year.
It's the attorney for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Simon Sandoval Moshenberg, joining us tonight. Simon, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Good to be with you.